What's going on, folks? Eddie Carrington, mayor of Flux City, and the city of Chicago just announced something very impressive. They are providing Chicagoans up to $70,000 towards down payment assistance. And this is something that doesn't look like it has received a lot of airplay as of yet, but this is extremely impressive, especially here in the city of Detroit, viewing this. And currently, the city offers different down payment assistance opportunities from anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000, which I thought was a lot of money. But Chicago is offering up to $70,000. Let's check it out. First off, shout out to the Chicago Sun-Times for covering something that is so important, especially now when we're talking about housing affordability and the challenges people are facing when it comes to trying to find a home for their family. This is not just limited to Chicago or Detroit. This is across the country. We are short millions and millions of properties, and the properties that are currently available, when it comes to the price point, they're a lot more out of reach for the average American than ever before. And so having an opportunity to provide some type of down payment assistance, such as what we're seeing here in Chicago. The city of Detroit also offers down payment assistance of anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000, depending on programs. But when I came across this $70,000 down payment assistance opportunity, this is astounding and unheard of. But I am really glad that there are cities that are trying to figure out ways to provide home ownership to the individuals that need it the most. The Homegrown Purchase Assistance Grant comes at a time when home ownership is becoming increasingly out of reach for many city residents. Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Chicago Department of Housing announced Monday a new program that gives eligible Chicagoans up to $70,000 in financial assistance to buy a new home. The Homegrown Purchase Assistance Grant is aimed at low and moderate income families for whom homeownership is becoming increasingly out of reach. The median sale price in April for a home in Chicago is over $388,000. Wow. Up more than 5% year over year, according to Redfin. And we're going to go on to the MLS, or a version of the MLS, which is realtor.com. And we're going to check and see what current offerings the city of Chicago and the suburbs of that area potentially are offering when it comes to home buyers. But the program will launch June 8th and is expected to aid between 300 to 400 buyers, depending on the size of each grant awarded. One thing about these types of grants is if you're looking to get awarded these dollars as a home buyer, typically there are two different criteria outside of the breakdown that I'm pretty sure they're going to provide when it comes to, AMI and things of that nature. But you typically have a first come, first serve strategy as a city. The city also likes to see applicants that are not asking for the full $70,000 in this example. Like, let's say if you're saying, hey, look, I just need $30,000 to $40,000, maybe $50K, which is crazy to say as I'm thinking out loud. $50,000, I just need $50K, right? But at the same time, they typically like to see opportunities or have opportunities to help these dollars stretch out beyond what they're projecting. And in order to do so, the goal is to hopefully not necessarily give everybody $70,000. As we know, prices are increasing everywhere from gas to groceries to home ownership, said Destiny Durham, project manager of homebuyer programs at the Department of Housing. We can help Chicagoans get into the home that they desire so they won't feel that it's out of reach, because everything in today's climate is definitely increasing. The $21 million program is funded by Johnson's $1.25 billion housing and economic development bond that was approved by the city council in 2024. Durham said it's a one-time funding effort for Homegrown, but the city may revisit the program if it proves successful. Now, I know a lot of people are giving the city, and more specifically the state, a hard time when it comes to missing out on the opportunity to convince the Chicago Bears to basically stay in the city of Chicago proper. But the fact of the matter is, the Chicago Bears are asking for billions of dollars of subsidy. And so, what happens if they get that billions of dollars of subsidy, theoretically speaking, from Illinois to in turn convince this $10 billion plus NFL team to stay in Chicago? Well, programs like this potentially can disappear. And so therefore Illinois is faced with very hard decisions, and therefore I don't blame them for taking a little bit more of a divisive stance when it comes to the offerings that they're presenting to the Chicago Bears. But it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Now, to be eligible, applicants must complete U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development certified homebuyer education and be in the market for a 1 or 2 unit home in Chicago that they'll occupy for at least 5 years as their primary residence. That's pretty cool, honestly. So you can purchase you a duplex, use this $70,000, and as long as you stay in one of the 2 units for 5 years and use that as your primary residence, you have an opportunity to gain access of $70,000, of up to $70,000. Their household annual gross income cannot exceed 150% of the area median income, according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. A family of 4 making 150% of the AMI would have an annual income of $182,250. An individual making up to $127,650 could qualify. Wow. So, I mean, technically, you're making good money, and yet you're still able to gain access to $70,000 in grant dollars. Buyers can receive up to $70,000 toward a down payment and closing costs, depending on the location of their new home. For the program, the department categorized neighborhoods into 2 zones. Zone A is for areas that have seen significant increases in home sale prices, and Zone B covers low-income census tract areas where 70% or more families have incomes below 80% of the statewide median family income. Buyers purchasing homes in Zone A are eligible for up to $70,000 in grant funding based on their overall income. Those buying homes in Zone B can receive up to $50,000 according to the city's housing department. Wow. Durham pointed to Lincoln Park and Lakeview as neighborhoods included in Zone A, while Zone B includes neighborhoods such as Inglewood and Rosewood. A new website for the program will allow potential buyers to see which zone their desired home falls under, Durham said. Actually, let's do a little survey. Let's check out 1 or 2 of these neighborhoods and get an idea of what is currently available for a home buyer that may be interested in taking advantage of this initiative. So now I'm on realtor.com and I'm looking up Lincoln Park, Illinois, and wow, the price point for these properties, insane. And I say that as a Detroiter who, when you're spending $300,000-$400,000 on a property, you're getting essentially what we're seeing being offered for this $1.8 million property, right? 5 bed, 3.5 baths, 3,200 square feet. This is pending at $1.8, $1.9 million, right? This one's pending at $950,000 roughly, 3 bed, 2.5 bath. And there aren't that many properties on the market in this neighborhood. But let's say this contingent condo here, $515,000, 2 bed, 2 bath. Looks nice, right? Looks really, really nice. But, this is something that you bring $70,000 to the closing table. Let's see. Let's say you're eligible for the or more specifically, the $70,000 down payment assistance grant. 6.509% interest rate with the principal and interest, taxes, and insurance incorporated in the estimated monthly payment. You're still looking at $46.09 a month. That's a lot of money. And it's also important to point out that this estimation is probably incorrect because insurance is going up every year, right? And so taxes going up once you transfer ownership and the property is reassessed. I would assume that this $4,600 monthly payment is probably closer to around $4,800 to $4,900 a month, right? And so $4,900 a month, even with a $70,000 down payment grant, is still not enough to make too much of a dent to your overall payment of this particular property. Let's check out another neighborhood. All right, so the first set of properties, that was zone A. This is zone B. This is Inglewood, Illinois. And this is more like it. This is more like it, okay? Now we're talking opportunity where you're able to purchase, in this example, a multifamily home for $325,000. 6-bed, 2-bath, 325. And so if they're giving you $50,000 for down payment assistance for this multifamily facility, now we're talking, right? Now we have an opportunity where this, in this example, very beautifully rehabbed and looks like everything is in working order, move in ready, and you have another unit that you can either rent out to a tenant or potentially rent out to a family member, right? So you got options, right? And now let's check out the monthly payment in a scenario such as this. We say 50,000 because once again, zone A is providing up to 70,000 in grants, while zone B is up to $50,000 in grants. In this example, $50,000 down payment gets your monthly payment estimate to about $2,317 a month. Let's bump that up, maybe $200-$300, right? So now we're at $2,600 a month, right? Still pretty affordable in comparison to the zone A location that we looked at first, but you know, $2,700 a month with the opportunity to rent the other side out. Let's say you're able to get $1,500 a month. That brings your overall monthly payment down to about $1,300 a month out of pocket, right? Now we're talking, right? $1,400 a month out of pocket if you can find the right tenant. This also comes with a nice little backyard. You have a little maintenance to have to be mindful of when it comes to the deck in the background, but it looks like it's in good shape as of now, right? So this property looks like it was well maintained, well rehabbed. And once again, $325,000 for a duplex that you can use this grant dollar for. But I think Chicago deserves credit for trying something extremely bold here, because the reality is housing affordability isn't getting better on its own. Doing nothing isn't a strategy, but I also think we need to be careful about confusing access with affordability. Helping someone buy a home is incredibly valuable. Helping create more homes may be even more valuable. And the cities that figure out how to do both at the same time are probably going to win the next generation of economic growth. So I'm curious to think what your thoughts are here. Is Chicago making a smart investment in future homeowners, or are they treating the symptom while ignoring the disease? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. I also have a Patreon community. Link is in the description below. That's where we talk real estate, entrepreneurship. It is free to join. Would love to welcome you there. See you in the next video.